Good morning or good afternoon. Happy lunch.
Good day.
Time for a nooner with Susan and my co-host today, John.
Hello.
And
special guest commentating by Ryan.
the voice behind the sound.
The seldom heard voice, by the way. This is a very rare treat for people out there in Radio Land.
Oh, yes. Very much so. That's wonderful.
And that's why, because he talks too much.
Oh, I love it. I'm sure with this job you hear a lot of things.
Yes, I constantly am flapping my gums, whether it be here in the studio, across the hallway in production. I am stamped on quite a few things around here.
Ryan, the ears. Listen, how was last week?
I spent most of it in bed.
Yeah, everyone's getting sick.
Yeah.
Yes, to clarify, that is not in the sexy way, people.
Yeah,
That is
that's really.
in the recuperating sense.
And isn't it interesting how the weather kind of reflected that?
Yeah, duh.
It was, I have a Scorpio moon, so I love that kind of weather.
Okay.
That gets me very, I want to snuggle in bed in the morning longer, but also, I don't know, I kind of feel like I really want to straighten out my closet. It gets me...
you just don't want to go outside.
No, but it's so pretty outside.
Yes, it is.
It's
and
really
and the cool,
gorgeous.
crisp air is a really nice change for us here in Vegas that we don't get to experience that often.
Well, it's interesting that you should say that because I had to go down to the courthouse. Ha, ha, ha. You wonder what I was doing down there. Don't ask. It's not that exciting. And I haven't been to the courthouse for quite some time. So I Googled it and got the maps and
Always
everything.
a fun experience.
Part of what I'm going down there was a Reiki experience because when I was down there, I was very anxious about going down there because I haven't been down there for a long, long time. I don't spend a lot of time in the legal system, thank God. So as I took extra time, I kind of got a feel for the energy around as I was driving around, looking for a place to park, of course. And, just learning, the map of where everything is. And I have to say that I don't know if it's because of the weather, the rain, and the wind, but Las Vegas is looking pretty spiffy.
Yeah. Well, they're doing a lot downtown there. That whole downtown area, they're trying to revitalize. And
let me tell you, I felt the juju.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. A lot of
It
good
was
stuff
really
going on
nice
down
because when
there.
we moved here 18 years ago, it was from want.
Yeah.
And it was very, very sad. I think Jan Jones was the mayor at the time.
Yes, I remember Jan.
And I swear, going around, and this I think has to do with the Goodman legacy
Right.
of revitalizing. Have you ever been to First Fridays?
Yes.
What do you think about that? Do you like First Fridays?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff going on down there. And like I said, they are trying to revitalize the whole downtown area.
Right.
They've got all of the stages where I have some friends who perform down there at like 3rd Street Stage or whatever at the Fremont Experience. So it's kind of neat going down there and seeing what they're doing. And I do like, I hate to say this because it kind of goes against my grain, but I do like them. All right, you're one of the street performers. You stay in that circle. Instead of bothering people all over the place.
Oh, right. There's a little bit more organization to the mayhem.
And it's a little more structured, and it makes people a little freer to walk around and experience
Yeah,
everything.
because, when we first moved here, the normal way people behaved was you open up the garage door, you pull out of your garage, close the garage door, and then you drive away. And then when you come back, the same thing.
Right.
And you didn't see people out on the streets.
Right.
If you did, they were street people, which, I understand their issue. But, there's so much, it's amazing how much your environment has an effect on you and how much we have an effect on our environment, which will bring us to the topic for today. Ta-da!
Ta-da.
Feng Shui for Dummies.
Cool.
Which I could certainly use.
I want to tell you,
The guy who wrote these books or started this whole thing
Yes.
for dummies is
A genius.
Just an absolute genius.
and getting everybody to write, the expert to write
Yeah.
the ultimate handbook.
Right.
Well, my husband's been...
in a way that we can understand for us dummies
Yes.
in just about every area that you can imagine.
Yes,
We
not
need to-
written
we
by
need
the
to-
academics.
Ryan, we need to do one of these internet radio for dummies.
There we go.
Oh,
That's our new
yeah.
Let's do that.
There's an idea.
That's our next project, okay?
That's your next book.
There you go.
Well, my
Sorry.
husband was out of town, and that's usually what I call my feng shui time, because what he doesn't see, And
Until he
it's
comes back,
it's
right?
interesting. Our how when my parents were. My parents, of course, are married, and they've been married for 6 years. But my father never ever commented on the sofa that my mother bought, or the washing machine, or the rug.
Smart man.
My husband comments on everything. Now, I don't know what that's all about, but, he's got to always have his little say rather than just saying, gee, honey, thank you for making this little nest. Now, I will say that he has helped me decorate the house very nicely. I have no
Okay.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, that...
So he does have some value.
Yes.
Okay.
But when he's home, he notices everything. But he's been in Denver for 10 weeks. Not 10 weeks, 10 days. And it didn't feel like 10 weeks. It felt like 10 minutes. Anyway, while he was gone, I took advantage of that time to feng shui my house,
Cool.
to get the key going, to get the movement going. Because, whenever you're stuck with something, and I'm... of course, in the midst of a new job. And by the way, if you like my show, send in your dimes, nickels, and pennies. That will, because I don't think anyone listens to this show, but who cares?
Oh yeah,
Anyway,
we do.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
We get irate calls all the time.
Oh, do you? Okay, then I know that I'm getting effect. Good. That's
What the hell's
it.
on with that woman?
All. what is it?
Joking aside,
No. All publicity. Any publicity.
any publicity is good
publicity.
publicity.
That's it.
That's right.
So anyway, I started looking. I have been looking for a spiritual spot in my house because I've got all this stuff set up. Not set up, but I like a quiet room where I can meditate once
Right.
in a while. So I thought, well, why don't I just go on, And so I went to the library, my library in my sitting room, and I found this book. And in the book, it even tells you exactly what room to use. Well, I looked at it, and it happens to be my son's old room.
Oh, cool.
So it really was cool. I mean, it's very interesting how you throw it out to the universe.
Right.
And how it really has changed the energy in the house as well. And it doesn't really have to be very much. I haven't gone out and bought anything. I just rearrange things. And it's fascinating how when you rearrange your environment, how much the environment has an impact on you.
Especially at night when it's dark.
Yes.
And you stub your toe on
Yes.
the night table that wasn't there 2 weeks ago.
Yes. That's very true.
And you get very holy.
Yes.
Yeah.
God.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.
Well, I used to get my kids to, my son, to clean up all his Legos. One of the methods that I used was I told, there was a story going around during the 93 earthquake, 94 earthquake, Northridge.
Northridge. Yep.
And our son was 4 years old, and so there was a story going around that a parent had ran into a child's room to save them, but the child hadn't picked up the
The
toys.
Legos.
And the parent had died or something, depending on how you wanted it. And so I used to tell my son,
Scare 'em straight.
can you do me a favor and clean up all your stuff? Because if there's an emergency, ... So I've utilized his
And
anxieties.
they wonder why people go to therapy.
Yeah.
I just get nervous shakes every time I pass the toy aisle. I don't know what it is.
You've been in earthquakes.
Oh yeah.
Have you been in earthquakes?
Oh,
Yeah, I lived in California for a little bit, so
Yep.
Oh,
I'm familiar.
yeah. I remember, what was it? It was the 70,
Landers quake.
was it in Sylmar?
Yep.
The whole hospital, the
Yep.
VA hospital
VA
in
hospital
Sylmar.
there. Yep.
Oh my God. Well, we lived up on top of Mitchell Tarina Hill.
Oh, okay.
And so, gosh, we hadn't even lived there very long, but when the earthquake hit, and isn't it interesting? I mean, most of the earthquakes that I remember happen at dawn.
Yeah.
Early morning.
Early morning, or just
Isn't
when
that
you're
interesting?
not quite awake. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get rattled awake. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That would be. I wonder if there's a correlation. But I remember we went out on the front because our house overlooked the LA basin, and you could see transformers blowing.
Yeah.
All over, from all the way down to Signal Hill to the St. Vincent's Bridge. I mean, we had all the way to Pacific Palisades.
Wow.
Fantastic view. Beautiful view. Unfortunately, the house wasn't built for that, appreciating that kind of view, but it was a beautiful house anyway. What a funkadelic place to grow up, Silver
Yep.
Lake. I'll tell you, wouldn't give it up for the world. My daughter goes to a private school here, and she just came back from her 7th grade retreat. And she said, "Oh, we had a great time. What was your 7th grade retreat like?" I said, "Honey, King Junior High School didn't have a 7th grade
Yeah.
retreat."
The retreat was coming home.
We hung out in
Yes.
the backyard for the weekend. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. When I think of what a rough neighborhood that was, and thought nothing of it.
Yeah.
We'd walk to school. This was Hollywood. Oh, it was strange in the cars, and oh, yeah, but I wouldn't trade it. Wouldn't trade it. Where did you grow up?
Southern California. I went to Hollywood High School.
Did we talk about this?
Yes,
yeah,
we
where'd
did.
you grow up in Hollywood?
Just down off of Vine Street, just below Santa Monica, on a little street called Willoughby.
Oh, my God.
Right down the street from
Right
Wallach's
near-
Music City.
Right near Romaine Street.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let
Yeah.
me tell you. That's my middle name. So
Oh, okay.
it was like the first time I saw that, I thought, oh, they misspelled that. There's nobody who has a weird name like that.
Yeah, really. So,
Especially
yeah,
not in
that was...
Hollywood.
Oh, well,
those,
it's Hollywood. That's right.
those were the good old days, yeah. So
Now,
that was back in the mid-'60s.
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That's when it was happening.
You remember when they were building the Cinerama Dome?
Oh, hell yes.
Oh, yeah.
Hell, I remember Chavez Ravine.
Really?
Yeah, when they were throwing all those people out of Chavez Ravine so they could build Dodger Stadium.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
they-
right.
They were eminent domain. They were taking everybody's houses, giving them
That's
some
right.
bucks, and say, "Get out. We're going to build a
A stadium there.
here." Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Angel Flight." I remember Angel Flight.
oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
remember my mother taking us there before they were going to tear it
Yeah.
out to get Grand Central
Yeah.
Market,
Right?
because my grandmother used to shop there. My grandfather would drive her down, go to Grand Central Market, and drive her home. And then
Hollywood Ranch Market,
yes,
which is the birthplace of tater tots.
really,
Yes.
wow. My senior year at USC, we had to take a political semester, and we had a Washington D.C. semester where you went and lived in Washington D.C. and worked.
That would be cool.
That was, yeah. But I wasn't interested. I had just come back from Europe. I was happy to be back in Los Estados Unidos. Please. I mean, I had a great time in Europe, but there's nothing like this country, I'll
Yeah.
tell you. All you have to do is go live someplace really
E-
nice.
Each place in the world has its charm and its place and different things about it that make it attractive, but I don't know, just something kind of nice about coming home because that's what you're used to.
Right. Well, there
Mhm.
isn't any need to go and explore.
Yeah.
It's kind of grounding and centering.
Yep. There you go.
Um,
So you just got back from Europe.
and I didn't want to, are you kidding me? This was football season.
Yeah.
I was not leaving LA my senior year. And of course, that was the year that the year before SC had gotten really trounced. So it would have been okay if I'd gone. It would be better if I had gone to the London semester. Anyway,
go.
And then they had a Sacramento semester where you could work or learn the state capitol
Right.
information. And then the other one was the LA semester, which was city government. And I totally dug it because growing up in Silver Lake, I was so close to downtown.
Right.
And my grandparents had a beautiful house down by USC, one of these grand old mansions. So and we had friends all the way out to Beverly Hills when I was growing up. So we used to take like Beverly and Third and, all of these
All the way
great
out.
streets
Yeah.
and Sunset.
Yep.
And it was so cool to, even though I had always grown up in these neighborhoods, I learned so much more because of our professors and just being out in
Right.
the city. Hey.
Now that we got all our coughing fits.
Yeah, now that we've had
Done
our
with over.
not coffee break, but coughing break. Ugh. Anyway, I just
We should
really
talk
wanted
about
to,
feng shui.
that's what we should talk about.
Okay.
Now, this is very, very easy to do. It's not that difficult. But whenever you're looking at a property, you always want to look at it as you're facing the house.
That's correct.
The front of the house. Oh my goodness gracious. The front of the house is your career. This also is kind of taking an interesting look because it also reminds me of the astrological chart.
Right.
But the front of the house is your career. The area that is to your right in the front is helpful people. So that's kind of a nice place to have your front door. The middle right is children. The far right is marriage. The middle back is fame. The back left is wealth. The left is family. And then the front left is knowledge and spiritual growth. Interestingly enough, my son's room is in the front left. So that worked out perfect.
As is my room.
So that's a place where you should probably make your little meditation.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see how even feng shui applies into the real world. Like just cleaning up, just picking up trash. There were some other properties that I saw driving from downtown called Siegel Suites.
Oh, yes.
That's an interesting, do you know anything about Siegel Suites?
Other than they're like weekly rentals, and if you live here, you get free coupons for breakfast and stuff like that. So it's kind of like,
really?
Yeah, that's
Because I think it's a brainchild.
yeah. There's a couple over by Nellis Air
Yes.
Force Base. There's 2 or 3 or 4 in town, I believe.
Very clean.
Yeah.
Nicely, they look.
They do take pretty good care of it, as opposed to some of the others around.
Yeah. No, I think that this really fills a market.
Yep.
And they're
Especially
listen,
in a transit town like this.
right. And there are people that do come in and work for a week, or I just thought it was very interesting. I was wondering who was behind it, because if they're profiting and they're doing well, like I've seen them doing, I'd love to know what's going on with them,
Right.
or how they're doing it. So that would be very interesting. I was very pleased to see that. And everything looks so clean. But again, it's been raining and it's been blustery.
Yep.
And
Yeah, the wind has blown all the trash away. Yeah.
absolutely. So positioning the octagon isn't very hard once you know how to do it. But it's very interesting to see how the energy changes. Just by getting rid of all that blocked energy. I mean, my son's room wasn't dirty. It was organized.
It was cluttered.
But it was cluttered. And so I just moved everything out. And it's amazing. Opened up the windows,
Yep. Let the fresh air in.
let the air in,
Yep.
and learning the different things about,
Which is hard to do in in Las Vegas when it's 173 degrees outside.
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's when I usually use the ambient light.
Yep.
So I put down shades and stuff, and I get it from the other. It also, there's stuff about your entrance or your entryway. And that, I don't know, does your front door have like a step in the front of it, or?
It has I have an entryway. You come up to the front of the house. There is a little gate, and then a courtyard just before you get to my front door.
Oh, nice.
And then you step up, just a small 2-inch step into the house.
So you have a formal entryway.
Yes.
That's nice. That
Yes.
makes a big difference.
Yes. It's not as fancy as it sounds, but yes, for all intents and purposes, it is.
Right. But you can easily, I mean, it does, the point I'm making is that even just to like collect up the leaves or put a potted plant,
Right.
it doesn't really take a whole lot of,
Upkeep,
expensive.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to keep the area open and inviting, that
Yes.
makes a big difference.
And it's nice because the roof overhangs enough to where when it's raining like hell, I can step out the front door, watch all the rain, and not get wet.
Nice.
So,
yeah. That's sort of
Yeah.
bringing the outdoors in.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's another thing I love about feng shui, and because I'm a big fan of Frank Lloyd Wright,
Me too.
which was very much about bringing the
Yep.
outdoors in and living outdoors more. Which especially, I don't know, you guys were sick, but when it gets really cold like this, and rainy, and it was stormy.
Yeah.
There's a hesitancy to not go outside, and sometimes you can get kind of cabin fever.
Yep.
And I think that one of the biggest cures to the depression is just getting out of the house, looking at a bright sky, breathing in some oxygen.
Yes.
That makes a big difference. But also being grounded in nature. I was thinking of going, on a hike because I just love the outdoors. Not all the time, but just I was thinking of going up to Zion.
Oh, yeah.
Just for like a day trip or, overnight. But then I was thinking, there's so many nice parks here as well. You don't really have to go that far
Just
to...
take a quick ride out to Red Rock.
I live in
There's
Desert Shores.
Yeah.
All I have to do is step out my back door.
There you go.
And,
Yeah.
I kept thinking, well, it doesn't really take that much. That's
Right.
the point that I'm
Yeah.
making, is that it really doesn't take all that much. So inside your house, the other thing about cleaning out the stale energy is inviting the positive energy in. And, again, that's just cleaning this stuff up, throwing away stuff that needs to be thrown away. And I'm also bringing this up because this is...
My house would be empty.
And
I'm going to need that someday.
one day, I know. Or somebody's going to say,
Yeah.
oh, this never fails.
Yeah.
I throw away all my boxes. And that's the next week I need the boxes.
I'm moving next week, and you got any boxes laying around?
Seriously. Or I have something that I have to mail to somebody.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's kind of difficult to know what to do. But sometimes when you do start moving the key forward, it'll start bringing in other opportunities.
Yeah, well, I guess that's part of it. If I throw stuff out, the positive way for me to think about it is I've got room for more stuff.
That's right. That's right. And that's a good way of looking at
Sure.
it. But thinking about, instead of just allowing things to kind of find their way in, to be more mindful about what you do bring in.
Well, I have periods that I go through where, I collect all of this stuff, and then it's like one day I wake up and I go, okay, it's time to just start getting rid of crap. Let's clean everything up and let's move this around, especially in the area that I work at home, in the videos and editing and stuff like that. It gets, after a month or so, gets pretty cluttered.
Right.
And then I come back in and just say, okay, time to start fresh again. And so.
Well, I always look at my sewing area as my studio,
Yeah.
as like an art studio. I do try to keep the key moving and not the clutter, but that also means that I always have to have a project going.
Yes.
Otherwise, I just have all these unidentified or unfinished objects, what I call UFOs. And, nothing worse than going to Michael's, and buying $80 of stuff and then saying, I'm never going to get around to doing this.
Yeah.
My daughter's really into the DIY stuff.
Yep.
But, you can find a lot of this stuff already in your house. I found plants.
Which is why I don't throw it out. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, there's a good point.
But you can't just keep collecting this crap.
Right.
If you're collecting it with, okay, next Tuesday I know I'm going to be doing something and I may need this, okay, fine. But when next Tuesday comes, I saw something in I don't know, probably on the internet, because that's where everybody sees everything.
Yeah.
And it was, take all of the clothes in your closet and put them on the hangers and hang them backwards, so that the
Oh, great idea.
and then every time you for a year, and then when you wear it and put it back, you hang it the proper way. And at the end of the year, anything that is facing the wrong direction, get rid of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
because it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you're not
It
gonna
didn't
wear it. If
happen
you haven't
then.
worn it for a year.
And not only that, but there's a lot of people who could use that.
That's exactly right, and that's what it says. There's plenty of places that you can donate it, and that
Exactly.
you can be helping someone or
And
someone.
moving the key forward.
Yep.
And that's what this is all about. Just moving that energy, the stuff that's stale, it needs to be moved.
Keep
And
the energy flowing.
Exactly. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, besides the feng shui, but to consider a Reiki practitioner to come in and clear the energy. Sometimes, my sister's famous for attracting negative energies. Nothing, nothing personal, Robert, but you did stand me up last week.
Names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Yes, yes. He's innocent until proven guilty. And I was just at the courthouse this morning. But also having Reiki done in your house. Reiki can be applied different ways. And in fact, going to the courthouse, I used it because I had a lot of anxiety about going down there. I just kept thinking, you know how, like when you have jury selection,
Yes.
and it's just a mob scene,
Yeah.
and there's people who are doing all kinds of things, and it's just like you see society and think, oh, I don't want to leave my, little bubble here. But it wasn't like that at all. It was
know.
very organized. I went straight to the window. The minute I got the number, they called my number.
Wow.
I went straight up there, took care of it. Bada bing. Clean. No, it was very, very nice. In fact, I was thinking I need to get a job there. That was like so uber serene.
Cool.
Yeah. That was also a nice thing. But I had projected that. I had, before I left, I knew that I was, when I was getting ready for the day, I was just dreading going down there, finding parking. So I decided to flip the energy. And I started to say, to myself, I'm going to find a good parking place for a fair price. I'm going to go in there. It's going to be well run, well organized. I had no idea if it was or wasn't. But it's funny how when I put that energy out there, it's exactly what because I hadn't been in a courthouse for a long time.
Yeah.
When my husband was practicing law in downtown L.A., I used to meet him, downtown, and we'd grab something and I love those corner joints
Oh, me too. Those are great. Those are great.
where the cops and the lawyers hang
Yeah.
out in downtown L.A.
I used to date this attorney whose office was right across from the courthouse.
Oh,
and
uh-huh.
So I'd go down there and meet her for lunch. So after a little while, I knew all the cool places that I could park for free.
Right,
That
right.
were real close down there. And so, going down there for me is a positive experience, because that whole thing was positive.
Right, because you knew where it was,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and it was positive energy when we'd go and just have lunch at one of these little sandwich places, or and there's a lot of them down in that area. So I got kind of a soft spot in my heart for the
Yeah, good food.
yeah.
Yeah, well, people
really.
have to eat down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I think that, it was very also reassuring to go down to the courthouse and to see that this was a really nice place, well organized. I had forgotten, though, that you have to go through
the strip search.
the strip search.
Take off your shoes, take off your belt, empty your pockets. Yeah, leave your gun here. And I have this little teeny tiny Swiss Army knife that's about an inch long.
Yeah.
And I've left 100 of them at the
Airport?
at the airports, because I forget that it's in my pocket. It's that small, but it's like my little tool kit.
Right.
And
So many little knife claim check tickets that you have.
There you go.
no,
Weapons
you have to
claim
leave
check.
that here. You can't take that in there. Okay.
Well, whenever I travel, I always have my nurse's tools.
Oh yeah.
Some Kelly clamps or little scissors or,
A sphygmomanometer.
nah. If I need one of those, it's too late.
What is that? For-
Blood pressure.
Blood pressure
Ah.
cuff.
Sphygmomanometer.
Sphygmomanometer.
That's right. That's how you say it.
That's not a
My
Bugs Bunny
ex-wife
invention?
was a unit secretary, and when she was going through the classes and stuff, I used to help her study.
Oh,
So
yeah. You
I
have
got
to
learn
know.
all these cool medical terms.
Well, I was going to take a break right now because I think it would be good to get a little breather.
Yes.
And then we will be back in just a little while and talking more about Reiki and Feng Shui.
Looks like I'm losing.
Hey, and welcome back. We're coming back from a cough fest, our cough break,
Our cough in.
our cough in, cough out.
Cough drop.
And we've been talking about Feng Shui and Reiki and how important it is to make sure that the energy that you live in is pleasing to you. It really helps with mind, body, spirit, I think.
I agree.
Yeah. I think you can see this also in the tradition of Japanese gardens. You can't help but go into a Japanese garden and feel at peace or at ease or
There
motivated.
is something about it. and I don't know if it's because we expect it to be that way or we've been conditioned to see it that way. But yeah, you can't help it. Or almost any kind of a garden, any time where you've got the plants and the earth is coming up and kind of surround you.
Right.
It's just kind of cool.
It's very grounding.
Yeah.
And very relaxing as well. Well, the fish swim in water and humans swim in energy. So I think it's very important that we make sure that the energy that we surround ourselves with
doesn't drown us.
Yeah, doesn't drown. That's true. You always want to have a balance. Yeah. Underwater housing has yet to be developed correctly. But, you want to make sure that your environment has a huge impact. Even when water becomes polluted or the environment becomes polluted, it affects the animals.
Yes.
And energy affects us the same way. Have you ever had Reiki before?
No.
Do you know what it is?
No.
Does it involve a rake?
And
That's what my mother...
It's another one of those woo energy things.
Mostly what I think is, well, I'm a Reiki master.
Right, I understand.
But I'm still a skeptical person. I mean,
Right.
I'm a perpetual student. I'm a dedicated
and as
student.
am I. I believe in a lot of this stuff, and some of it I've experienced, some of it I haven't. So.
And I've been studying it, probably close to 9 years now.
Okay.
And I didn't go into it because I knew anything about it or I had any agenda. I just started studying this stuff. And what's interesting
It
is...
chose you.
It chose me, exactly. Good point. Very good point. Reiki always
That's what
finds
happens
you.
to us.
That's what happens.
Yep.
Yeah. You immediately start to... You said something very interesting, which, getting back to Reiki, this is similar. You don't really realize that people feel the same things until people start talking about it.
Yes.
And just now, John was mentioning that sometimes he'll open up a book. Instead of cat napping, I've learned to cat read, which,
Wow.
just to... get to keep me busy because I have so much. I'm going to be teaching, so I'm going to be needing to study more. But the thing is, though, that you mentioned that there are times when you have opened up a book and just read a passage, and it's exactly what you need.
It's exactly what you need at that time, and in that particular space, or whatever. Or it's something that maybe 10 minutes later you go, "Holy crap!"
Wow. Yeah.
So.
And I thought I was the only person that
I've done that
if that
my entire
happens,
life.
That's wild.
Yeah.
If anyone else has had that and would like to share their experience, you can call us at 702-483-4444. Some of this stuff resonates with other people and some of it doesn't.
Right.
Well, I'm starting to learn.
There are people that you meet and you just immediately like or dislike. There's the energy that they put out, is either you're susceptible to, or you feel a positive energy from, or a negative energy from. And we're all going through all of whatever it is that we're going through in this crap, and
And we need to honor that.
yeah, and that's what draws us, I think, to certain people in our lives, is that they have something, a message or energy or whatever, that we need at that particular time.
Right.
And there are others who, for whatever reason, you realize, I can't be around that person.
Yes.
Or I can't be in that situation.
Yes.
It's a
And
negative
to trust
form
your
of-
instincts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes, especially for me, is paying more attention to that.
Yes.
And not fighting it and saying,
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. It's so important to just become more enlightened to these coincidences that happen and to be more aware of it. And I think you start attracting, the reason why we have relationships is in order to learn about ourselves.
Exactly.
So I can totally understand why somebody doesn't want to be in a relationship. Nah, I've had enough of myself.
Yeah.
I'm making myself sick. So, but the thing with the Reiki is, once you start realizing, once you have started to take Reiki or have it done, you start to realize just how stressful our lives really are. because I'm becoming more and more sensitive to when I need to give myself Reiki
Yeah.
and to center myself and to ground myself. Whereas before I'd have no problem just kind of bouncing off whatever came around me. And it's just so much better when not only your energy is clear, but also the energy of your house and your environment. And it goes on different levels.
Is there, well, explain Reiki to me like I'm an 8-year-old. What exactly is it? I mean, it's a name for something.
Yes. Reiki literally translates from Japanese to English as light energy.
Okay.
Rei in Japanese
Right.
means light, and ki is energy. So everyone has this life source inside of them.
Right.
Some people are more naturally attuned to this energy, and some people aren't. But everyone can be attuned to this energy. And what it does is it kind of acquaints you with this energy that's already inside of you. I think people for a long time have always, everyone has this. But it's becoming attuned or introduced to that energy, that healing energy, that looking at things a little bit differently without feeling threatened about the alternative choice.
Well,
Also, the body has the energy to heal itself. If you don't, it's sort of like if you don't know how to use a hammer
right.
and you're building a house, the house is never going to get built.
Right.
But if somebody picks up the hammer and shows you, oh yeah, you take a nail,
Pointy end goes towards the wood.
right, absolutely. Keep your fingers away.
Yeah.
And then you can do things with it. With Reiki, I use it a lot with stress reduction for nurses. We tend to, of course, we're in the battle with, stressful people. And what hospitals or healthcare disorganizations don't realize is that they don't have machines, they have people as
Right.
employees. And these, just like any machine, it needs to be maintained. If you are not maintaining that machine, and I do believe that, we all are responsible. I find that nurses are the worst when it comes to self-care.
Yes.
There's a reason why we went into this, and it's because, if we were jerks, we would be lawyers. I mean, really. Because you just can't make enough money to do this. And welcome back. We've had a very interesting show today.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. The Fengshui and the Reiki. So-
Energy.
Energy work. So anyway, getting back to the Reiki, everybody has this energy. Nurses are probably more attuned to it, which because we are in the caring profession. But learning how to maximize your own energy, and while still helping another
Right.
person, because you don't want to get an energy vampire stuck on you. And nurses always seem to have that problem
I
of
love
getting
that word.
those energy vampires.
Energy vampire. That's
Yeah.
great.
I'd like
I
to
know
give
a
a lot
few.
of credit to Judith Orloff, MD.
Okay.
I just finished reading her book, Intuitive Healing. And she talks about this energy, not in the terms of Reiki, because that's a Japanese healing
Right.
method. But she was talking more in the overall, how she uses her intuition or intuitive side to help her patients, and to also use her intuition to help guide her in her own personal and family decisions. And it's very interesting. It's fantastic. And what I love about it is it's written by a person who really did it, has all these very orthodox
Right.
degrees, and yet hasn't lost sight of the fact that this is a big area that Western medicine has ignored. I do believe that there are many people who have aches and pains in their own body, and really it's a reflection of unresolved issues in other parts. And that's where energy work can help. Sometimes the patient will come in and their complaints aren't so much like high blood pressure, which is a silent killer. Everyone needs to know what their blood pressure is, because that's a terrible way to go. But also, just knowing yourself and self-knowledge is probably the best thing to work with this kind of work. And I got off subject there. There was a
That's okay.
point I was going to make.
But that's what makes the show interesting.
Yes. Angels will tell me when I need to know that.
There you go.
So I love to introduce Reiki into the healthcare arena, because not only do nurses need to, and we really need the healthcare organizations to not just talk about compassionate nurses, but help nurses to regain that compassion and to decrease the amount of burnout. And that's what I'm all about, because after delivering babies for 33 years, this is what we really need to work on, is not only taking care of ourselves, but also taking care of all those sick people out there.
Which
Such as
brings
us.
me to a question that, and maybe it's just my perception. How many nurses today really do patient care?
Oh, a lot.
And how many of them are caught up in the administrative portion of their job, where you have your nurses' aides or whatever they're called, that are actually doing the patient care, and the nurses don't really get the opportunity to do that unless they're, poking you with an IV or sticking you with a needle or something like that, or handing out a med or...
Yeah. Well, I've only worked at bedside.
Okay.
I've never been very interested in administration or, babysitting people. That's
Yeah.
what I call it,
Yeah.
babysitting people. And boy, I always felt sorry for the people who had to babysit me. Come on, the patients love me. And I think that there are a lot of nurses. Anytime somebody takes care of another person, that's nursing.
Okay, I got you.
Whether it be holding a door open for another person, we're thinking about somebody else. And as far as getting caught up, there really isn't.
I like that concept, by the way. That's a great concept.
Of
That just by holding a door open, you are helping nurse another individual.
yes.
You're-
You're paying it
yeah,
forward, and
paying it forward.
and also
Yep.
creating a very nice environment.
Yeah.
So the thing is, though, that what I get kind of caught up in with management is they want to maintain the status quo, and that's not what nurses is about. It's
Right.
about individualizing care for each person individually based on their needs, mind, body, and spirit. And with that, we run out of time.
Wow.
But you know what?
What?
We'll be back next week
Coolamundo.
talking about more Reiki and Feng Shui and whatever the angels tell me to talk about.